Hey guys, this is part 26 of the story. In this story, our favorite blonde is the wielder of Rinnegan, who also happens to be the Six Path Sage's reincarnation. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share with your friends. Now, let's begin. Konoha. The entire village was in a state of bliss and excitement. The reason behind all of this? The news that the previous Hokages had been brought to life had spread through the village like a wildfire. Mere hours after the council meeting had finished and already all of Konoha knew about the return of the fallen heroes. And everyone in the village, be it civilian or shinobi, always tried their best to walk by the Senju compound, in a desperate attempt to even catch a small glimpse of the Hokages. Every Hokage had been a friend, a leader, an icon to the people. And for those who didn't have the pleasure of knowing the legends in person, they did their best to at least see them. Tsunade had confined everyone to the compound during the last few days, waiting for the dust to settle, so to speak. It wasn't every day that the 5th Hokage barged into the roof of the newly reconstructed Hokage Tower and shouted that the previous Hokages had been resurrected to the whole village. There was no finesse in her speech. It was a single shout that left most of the people rooted in place with their jaws on the ground. Then again, finesse wasn't exactly a typical trait of the Senju clan. They tended to be louder and somewhat reckless to a fault, not to mention the unhealthy addiction to ramen. Not that Tucci was complaining, of course. The additional costumers all looking to catch a glimpse of Naruto helped a lot. But anyway, I'm digressing here. Let us focus on Naruto, who is currently laying down on his bed with Hinata sleeping next to him. It was still early in the day, so it was no surprise. What am I going to do now? Naruto thought to himself, playing with a strand of Hinata's silky hair. He had been so focused on the last 3 years of his life to train and train. His sole focus had been to become as strong as possible to take down the Akatsuki. But now that he did that, he felt disappointed? No, that wasn't it. Sad? No, that wasn't either. He felt bored. With the Akatsuki alive, there was always the threat of something sparking and throwing him into combat. Now? He spent his days dealing with the paperwork that came with the position of clan head. Maybe he wasn't cut out to become Hokage, not if he had to deal with paperwork 8 hours a day. He had to find something productive to do or he would go crazy. He still didn't know how to approach the whole bring peace to the world mission. Naruto was broken when he heard a particularly loud crash coming from the kitchen. The sound of dishes breaking and smashing to the floor came followed by a horrified screech of fear. Naruto raised an eyebrow when everything became quiet once again, too quiet for his taste. That was why Naruto didn't even flinch in bed when the door to his room opened loudly and Kurama came running inside, still in his chibi form. Naruto raised an eyebrow at the look of sheer desperation the fox had. "Naruto, you've got to help me. Hide me, summon me back to the seal." "Anything," Kurama said quickly, his voice filled with complete despair. "What did you do?" Naruto asked in amusement. He looked over to see Hinata stir slowly and rub her eyes, pushing the sleep away. "Morning," Hinata mumbled, watching Kurama bounce frantically on Naruto's chest. "Quickly, she's coming," Kurama shouted. "Who's coming?" Hinata asked in confusion while Naruto just shrugged his shoulders in ignorance. "Hide me," Kurama pleaded. "Kurama-kuna," husky, soft voice cooed from the entrance of the room. From the sound of it was definitely female. Naruto looked over Kurama and spotted Matatabi strolling in calmly. Naruto looked back to Kurama and noticed his eyes widened with fear. "Here you are," Matatabi cooed, jumping on the bed and landing on top of Hinata. "Come here. Tabi-chan will take good care of you," she purred while Kurama backed away slowly. Naruto watched in amusement as Kurama turned to him with pleading eyes. "What is wrong?" Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. "Already tired of your family after only 1 week?" Naruto taunted jokingly. "Save me. She craves my body," Kurama said, and both Naruto and Hinata looked at each other in surprise. "I didn't know you were into incest," Naruto chuckled while Kurama glared at him. "So soft," Matatabi purred, rubbing herself in the sheets on top of Hinata. "These sheets are so soft." "What has she been drinking?" Hinata asked, looking at the cat by Juo. "She's starting to freak me out." "Is there catnip in Konoha?" Naruto asked, trying to account for Matatabi's attitude. "I know that the Yamanaka and Nara clans supply the hospital with many herbs, catnip included, but I don't know if there is any in the wild," Hinata replied. You smell like the fox boy," Matatabi purred and tried to lick Hinata in the face but was pushed backwards. "So she's high on that stuff," Kurama sighed in relief. "She's a biju though. That stuff shouldn't affect her," Hinata pondered while Naruto just chuckled. "The best way to picture Matatabi is like a cat infused with senjutsu. Even though she was created, she shares many traits with cats in general," Naruto explained and watched as Matatabi's pupil dilated and she started rolling on the bed, wrapping herself in the blankets. Matatabi meowed happily and dropped her head, falling asleep. Safe at last, Kurama sighed in relief and dropped to the bed while Naruto just laughed. That wasn't funny, Kurama snapped. I was nearly raped by my sister, Kurama whined, putting a paw over his eyes. Knock knock. It's 6 a.m. Naruto grumbled, hiding beneath the sheets while Hinata giggled in reply, hiding as well. However, as much as Naruto wanted whoever was knocking to go away, it didn't. The knocking started becoming more and more frantic as time went by, as in mere moments the wooden door was already shaking from the poundings. Oh, for the low come in, he snapped. The wooden door slammed open and a head peeked inside the room. Hashirama, what do you want, ga? Why are you naked? Naruto yelled, jumping from the bed. Hashirama was completely naked, trying desperately to hide his little Hashirama with his hands. What is wrong with you? Naruto shouted, walking up to his great-grandfather. You just don't barge into someone else's room naked. Hinata simply chose to avert her gaze. There were some things that were best left to imagination. Not that she imagined a naked Hashirama in the first place. I'll just stop thinking about it, Hinata thought, finding her quiet place for all the ruckus at 6 a.m. You've got help me, Hashirama pleaded. Ah, it burns, he whined. Explain, Naruto sighed. It's like this. Me and Mito-chan were, Hashirama struggled for words. Having sex? Naruto offered and Hashirama nodded furiously, grimacing as another wave of what seemed pain washed over him. She still hasn't full control over that paper bloodline you gave her, and in the heat of the moment Hashirama trailed off and both Naruto and Hinata's eyes widened, unintentionally drawing their eyes to Hashirama's groin area. Don't tell me that she gave you a paper cut down there, Naruto asked, and Hashirama nodded furiously. Naruto felt a shiver run up his spine. Now fix it, Hashirama demanded, taking his hands away and displaying his manhood for all to see. Gah, Naruto yelled, looking to the side. I'm not touching your junk. You don't have to touch it. Just do the whole green thing, Hashirama pleaded, and Naruto reluctantly agreed. Naruto slowly approached and knelt to the ground, placing his hands a good foot away from him. His hands glowed green and Hashirama sighed in relief. There, Naruto said, getting up as fast as he could. Now go away and learn some decency, Naruto said, and Hashirama laughed, thanking him profoundly. That was the greatest thing I ever witnessed. The great Senju Hashirama got a paper cut in his dick, Kurama laughed, rolling on the ground. There's something wrong with your side of the family, Hinata said, deadpan. Now Hina-chan. We do share the same ancestor after all. We are all descendants of Princess Kaguya, Naruto lectured while Hinata just rolled her eyes. Yes, but my family branch has some decency at least, Hinata explained, thinking back to the Hyuga clan. Your family enslaved their own blood, Naruto replied, deadpan. Okay, point, Hinata conceded. And don't get me started on the whole decency thing, Naruto began in a zing-zong voice. You have the Byakugan, which grants you X-ray vision. Are you telling me that you never peeked beneath someone's clothing? Naruto asked in a teasing voice. Absolutely not, Hinata huffed in playful defiance. You sure? Naruto teased, rolling on top of her. You never took a peek at me before we became intimate? Naruto asked, planting a soft kiss on her neck. Oh great. They are going at it again, Kurama grumbled in thought, letting himself out of the room and dragging the unconscious Matatabi with him. He planned on chaining Matatabi somewhere just to be safe. And no, Hinata giggled from the kiss. You're lying, Hinata-chan, Naruto smiled. I know you perved on me during our training, Naruto teased, tickling her stomach. And maybe, she giggled in reply, making his grin widen. I knew it, he cheered in victory. Hinata took his momentary moment of celebration and rolled them over, pushing him to the bed and standing on top, straddling him. This is no way to treat a princess, Hinata huffed. Go make me a sandwich, she demanded playfully. You are no longer a princess, you know? Naruto asked, and Hinata just stared at him, surprise. Oh, Hinata muttered, trying to hide her sad smile. She liked being called princess, it was an affectionate name. Hinata-chan, Naruto began softly. He saw her saddened expression. A princess is when they are pretty, young, naive. You're so much more than that. Our battle in Kumo opened my eyes. You are strong, stronger than I thought. And you are no longer simply pretty, you are beautiful in ways I can't explain. Cheesy, Hinata thought with a smile. You are a queen. My queen, Naruto finished, emphasizing on the word my. As long you'll be my king, Hinata said, laying down and pressing her breasts to his chest. Forever, Naruto said, kissing her lovingly. My queen, with Madara. Madara sat in a stone throne, twirling a small locket of golden hair. He was lost in his thoughts that he didn't even notice Zetsu appearing in front of him. Master? Zetsu called, breaking Madara from his musings. What do you want? Madara asked evenly. Are you going to sit there all day musing about your past? Zetsu asked, and Madara raised an eyebrow in amusement. Since when do you care about what I do? Madara asked with annoyance. Because reason, Zetsu replied cheekily. Madara grunted. Tell me, Zetsu. What is the state of the elemental nations? He asked with some curiosity. The elemental nations had been rather peaceful for around 25 years if you don't count a few slides here and there. As of now, Konoha is allied to Kiri due to their help in the Bloodline Wars. There is talk about a possible alliance between Konoha and Kumo, but that is just rumors. Suna and Iwa are also fully allied and bear a particular grudge against the Leaf Zetsu finished. I died shortly after Minato wiped out Iwa's army, but I remember Suna being on good terms with Konoha, Madara explained. 3 years ago Suna teamed with Orochimaru and launched a surprise invasion on Konoha. They were slaughtered and ended up losing their cage, their only Baijuo and nearly a fifth of their forces. After that, things became sour between Konoha and Suna. Zetsu explained why. Madara just shook his head. Amateurs. Madara chuckled. And Iwa? He asked. They have done a few tries over the years but nothing significant, Zetsu answered, and Madara pondered on his next move. What will you do? Zetsu asked. I guess I'll pay a visit to dear old Aniki, Madara replied, getting up. But first, I need to check on something, Madara said and slammed his hand on the ground. Kushios no Jutsu, Madara said, and with a mighty roar the Geto Mazo burst from the ground. Madara looked at the statue and focused on linking up with it. Tell me, Zetsu. Madara began with a normal tone. What is wrong with this picture? He asked, pointing towards the Geto Mazo in front of him. I don't understand, Master. Zetsu cocked his head in confusion. The Geto Mazo seems to be missing a couple Baijuo, Madara replied with annoyance. You told me that Fugaku and Nagato had managed to capture the Nibi, Sanbi, Ibi, Gobi and the Rakubi. And yet, the Geto Mazo is empty, Madara informed him. I don't know, Master. Where are my eyes? Madara asked, trying his best to hide his annoyance at Zetsu. Konan. Zetsu stammered when he felt Madara's killing intent rising. Zetsu. Madara growled. Where is my Rinnegan? He asked. Nagato had them, but after the battle they were gone. Zetsu gulped under Madara's glare. Konan will know, ask her, Zetsu answered quickly. And where is Konan? Madara asked. Amigakure, Zetsu replied. Take me there, Madara ordered, and Zetsu nodded quickly, disappearing into the ground. Next time maybe I should give more intelligence to my creations. Zetsu is almost as dumb as a rock, Madara sighed, shaking his head. Hidden Rain Village. This concludes this meeting. Thank you all, Konan said, getting up and leaving the meeting room. The Hidden Rain Village was going well enough, but things were more difficult to handle without Nagato there. He was the leader, he knew how to run things better than her. Will do, Lady Konan, Kuro replied and walked away. Konan sighed and walked towards Pain's tower. She chuckled softly at the name, but didn't have the heart to change it. The tower and the whole village was her memento to Nagato and Yahiko. She stepped inside the room and felt unusually nervous. She stood on the doorway. The entire room was pitch black, with a few thunders lighting up the room momentarily. A loud thunder roared in the sky and gave enough light for Konan to notice the outline of a man sitting on Nagato's chair. Who are you? Konan asked, her voice taking a dangerous tone. Who knows? The figure chuckled and Konan saw that the figure was definitely male from the deep voice. What do you want? She asked firmly. Her body already showing several cracks as her bloodline triggered into action, expecting battle. What belongs to me, the man replied, getting up and started walking forward. Konan took a step back and prepared herself for battle as the man walked forward, still shrouded in darkness. Step. Another thunder lit the room, enough to show the man's feet and upper legs. He was clad in samurai-like red armor. Step. Konan looked up as the man approached, one step at the time. Her eyes widened when another thunder lit the room and showed the man's face. Blood-red eyes with long, black, spiky hair. Uchiha Madara, Konan whispered, finally noticing the white Zetsu in the corner, watching everything. So that Tobi fellow worked for you? Konan asked while Madara chuckled. Worked? Madara asked with amusement. You seem to be mistaken. He was my pawn, it's as simple as that. Yes, Konan drawled. She didn't exactly have much love for Tobi either. What do you want? She asked. What belongs to me, Madara replied once more. Konan just stared blankly at him. My eyes. I want my Rinnegan back, Madara said, and Konan's eyes widened. Don't be so surprised. I gave him the Rinnegan to begin with. He was supposed to bring me back with it, but alas, not everything worked out as I planned, Madara chuckled. I don't know, Konan said neutrally. Let's us agree to not lie to each other, okay? Madara asked and Konan didn't reply. I will ask again. Where is my Rinnegan? Madara stressed. Konan didn't even see it coming. One moment Madara was a few feet away, the other he was standing in front of her, his right arm extended. Konan received a strong punch to the stomach. It felt like being hit by a train. She felt blood vessels burst, Her diaphragm collapsed from the pressure, her knees buckled from the force of the blow, and as she went down, she swore she heard a cracking noise ricochet between her ribs. She landed on her knees, spewing out blood from her mouth like a fountain. "What did we agree on?" Madara asked, gently rising Conan's chin upwards. He noticed the pained and bloodied expression on her face. "Now, where are my eyes?" Madara asked calmly. Where why you?" Conan coughed. Will never get them." Conan chuckled weakly and Madara dropped her to the floor. "Why can't people just answer truthfully?" Madara sighed. "You could have lived, you know? I only wanted the Rinnegan, but now I guess I'll keep the Rain Village as well," Madara said with a dark smile. Conan rose as fast as she could to protest, but Madara slammed his hand over her chest. Ninjendo! Madara ripped Conan's soul out of her body, reading her mind in the process. Conan's body toppled to the floor, her eyes open wide and staring blankly into nowhere. "Naruto!" Madara sighed. "You are getting on my nerves and I didn't even met you." With Naruto. "Naruto, what are you doing here?" Tsunade asked, seeing Naruto strolling inside her office carelessly and plopping down to the couch. "Stuff," Naruto replied tiredly and leaned back on couch, releasing a sigh of bliss. Tsunade left him be and focused back on the paperwork reproducing on the desk. Naruto groaned and Tsunade looked up, but he still had his eyes closed. 5 minutes later Naruto groaned again and Tsunade's eyes twitched. Naruto groaned again and Tsunade jumped to her feet. "Naruto!" she snapped. "What are you doing here?" she snarled. "Protecting you from assassins," Naruto replied offhandedly, looking at the ceiling. "Doesn't anyone ever attack you?" Naruto asked, and he could feel the hidden Anbu shake their heads in disbelief. "Danzo tried it 2 weeks ago," Tsunade informed him and sat back down, having taken out her frustrations with the previous shout. Naruto was about to groan again and most likely be punched out of the room by Tsunade, when there was a soft knock on the door. "Come in," Tsunade replied, welcoming any type of break that didn't originate from Naruto. Shizune's head peeked inside the room. "There is a team from Iwa wishing to speak to you. They say it's urgent," Shizune informed, and both Naruto and Tsunade raised an eyebrow. "Send them in," Tsunade replied, and Shizune opened the door fully. A team of 3 stepped inside the room, flanked by 2 Anbu. Naruto looked up from the couch and spotted familiar faces in all 3 of them, some friendlier than others. Hokage-sama, all 3 shinobi bowed slightly as a sign of respect, even if a particular brash male in the team didn't have any. "Lord Senju," Kurotsuchi said, turning towards Naruto and bowing once more. Naruto raised an eyebrow at the greeting but moved on. "Kurotsuchi," Naruto replied, and she nodded once. "Taisuke," Naruto said, and the man huffed. "Ren-chan," Naruto said happily, and the girl waved shyly. "Congratulations on making Jounin. I knew you had it in you," Naruto said, and Ren nodded quickly, trying desperately to cool down her cheeks. "Naruto," Tsunade said, breaking the conversation. "Stop hitting on the girl. You are married, man, for Kami's sake." Tsunade laughed while Naruto just shook his head in amusement. "Anyway," Tsunade began. "What's the urgency in speaking to me?" Tsunade asked. "Our mission was to deliver this to you," Kurotsuchi informed the Hokage, stepping forward and placing a single scroll on the desk. "What is this about?" Tsunade asked with curiosity, picking the scroll. "Lord Tsuchikage is calling for a meeting between all 5 Kages," Kurotsuchi replied, and Tsunade's head snapped up from the scroll. The 5 Kage summit was extremely rare, usually only occurring in times of war or peace talks. "Akatsuki," Tsunade thought, her eyes quickly reading through the contents of the scroll. She looked sideways to Naruto, who was entertained by talking to Ren and completely oblivious to what Kurotsuchi had said. "I see," Tsunade simply replied. "Time and location?" Tsunade asked formally. 5 days from now. Lord Tsuchikage chose Land of Iron due to its security and neutrality," Kurotsuchi explained, and Tsunade nodded. "I'll be there," Tsunade replied, stamping the documents and handing them over to Kurotsuchi. "Thank you for your time, Hokage-sama." Kurotsuchi bowed as she and her team left the room. "I'm taking you with me," Tsunade said towards Naruto, who nodded in acknowledgement. "I never met Onoki personally," Naruto muttered, dropping his head back to the couch. Minutes went by and Naruto started groaning again, much to Tsunade's annoyance. "This is boring," Naruto sighed, waving his arms in frustration. "Naruto," Tsunade began sweetly. "Go away." Naruto gulped and bolted out of the room, not wanting to unleash the wrath of Senju Tsunade. "Leave," Mito said politely. Naruto gulped and ran away from the village's walls where Mito was looking at the perimeter seals. "Go away," Minato said, pushing Naruto out of the compound. The boy was getting on his nerves. "Out!" Tobirama shouted, kicking Naruto out of the Anbu division on the other side of the village. "This sucks," Naruto thought to himself, walking aimlessly. Everyone was busy and now Naruto had nothing to do but to stroll around Konoha. He sighed and spotted Konohamaru and the gang a few feet away. "Hey Konohamaru, Naruto shouted, approaching him, Moegi and Uton, "Yo boss." Konohamaru greeted him enthusiastically. "What you doing here?" Konohamaru asked. "Want to learn a new technique?" Naruto offered and Konohamaru's eyes sparkled with happiness. Of Kuritai Konohamaru yelled in pain since Moegi was tugging rather harshly on his ear. "He won't be learning anything today. We have a mission," Moegi huffed, keeping Konohamaru in line before he and Naruto bolted to some training ground. "I guess," Konohamaru muttered, nursing his swollen ear. "I'll see you later," Konohamaru said and left with his team towards the gates. "What am I going to do?" Naruto whined in thought, dropping his head. "There is always ramen," Naruto thought, his eyes lighting up as he ran at full speed towards the Chirakus, swearing to set a new record today. On the other side of town, Tucci felt a shiver crawl up his spine, and for the life of him, he couldn't tell if what was coming was a good or bad thing. "Yo old man," Naruto called, pushing the curtains wide open and sitting in one of the stools. Naruto-kun Ayame greeted him cheerily. "Ayame-chan," Naruto cheered, seeing Tucci's daughter at the counter. "It's been a while," Naruto said and Ayame nodded. "So, how many?" Ayame asked cheekily while Naruto laughed in reply. "I'll beg," Naruto was saying when a crippling headache rendered him to the floor. "Naruto-kun," Ayame yelled, jumping over the counter. She knelt beside him and helped turning him around, cradling his head. Naruto was breathing hard and had a small trail of blood leaking from both eyes. His Mangekyo turned on at full power. Fine," Naruto struggled to answer, his breathing slowly returning to normal. "You're not fine," Ayame snapped, taking a tissue from her pockets and cleaning his face. "This is not fine," she said, showing Naruto the bloodied napkin. Naruto looked at the napkin and brought a hand to his own face, gently running his fingers over his cheek. He looked at his hand and grimaced when he spotted the blood smeared over the skin. "I'm good, Ayame," Naruto said, dropping the affectionate name and getting up. "I've got to go," Naruto said and rushed away. "What happened?" Kurama asked with apprehension. "I felt a massive chakra surge from your eyes." "Someone ripped the Geto Mazo out of my Kamui dimension," Naruto replied, rushing to the hospital. "It's not possible," Kurama said in disbelief. "You better believe it because it's not there anymore," Naruto replied. With Hinata. Hinata was having a rather peaceful day at the hospital. She had completed her daily clinic hours and was now in her own private laboratory, working on her research. She let out a small shriek of surprise when the door burst open and Naruto rushed inside. "Where's the Rinnegan?" Naruto asked immediately. "Wah, the Rinnegan?" Naruto asked once more. "Why is there dried blood on your face?" Hinata asked, concerned. "Hinata-chan, I'm fine," Naruto reassured her, placing a single hand on her shoulder. He took a deep breath to calm down. "Where is the Rinnegan?" Naruto asked and Hinata motioned for him to follow. Hinata went to a fridge that stood nearby and opened the door. She took out a single vial and Naruto could see two floating eyeballs in the mist of the greenish liquid. "That's not possible," Naruto said, looking in shock at the Rinnegan from Nagato. He had given it to Hinata so she could run a few tests and perhaps find out who it belonged to. After all, you need both Uchiha and Senju blood to achieve the Rinnegan, and both clans were from the leaf. "What's not possible, Naruto-kun?" "You are not making any sense," Hinata replied softly and watched as Naruto sat down and brought his hands to his head. "Someone summoned the Geto Mazo," Naruto explained and Hinata's eyes widened. "Someone ripped it out of my Kamui dimension. That alone stakes a powerful chakra or someone with a lot to use, and I mean a lot. High cage at least." Naruto explained. "What are you going to do?" Hinata asked softly. "We can't wait any longer. See if you can speed up the DNA results of the eyes," Naruto explained and Hinata nodded, going back to work at full speed. "And you?" Hinata asked, never looking off the microscope. "I'm going to train," Naruto replied and was about to vanish in a flash when he saw Hinata stumble. He was beside her in the blink of an eye and gently grabbed her. "You alright?" he asked, concern in his tone. "I just felt lightheaded for a moment," Hinata answered, steadying herself once more. "My eyes hurt. I guess I'm tired," Hinata mumbled, rubbing her eyes to dull the slight pain she had. "Don't push yourself too hard, Hinata-chan." Naruto pecked her cheek and vanished in a flash. Hinata rubbed her eyes once more before going back to work. Later that day, Senju compound. There was a somber mood at the Senju compound, especially around the Baijuas since they heard from Naruto the possible existence of another Rinnegan somewhere out there. They thought they were free at last, free of human control. But fate, it seemed, had another plans for them. The only safe place now was in Konoha. Naruto knew that the Geto Mazo was far away and that was enough for him, for now. It was a good thing he hadn't sealed it back to the moon, otherwise he would never have known if someone else had summoned it back here, to the earth. Every dragon, including Tsunade and the pervert, were gathered in the kitchen. They waited in silence for Hinata to arrive with the DNA results. Enough of this, Tsunade said sharply, snapping everyone from their thoughts. It's not like the statue had the Baijuo in them. They only have a hollow husk, she said. It's not about the Baijuo. It's about existing another pair of eyes somewhere out there, Naruto stated. It's just a Rinnegan, Tsunade said, crossing his arms while Naruto shook his head. You have no idea the full power of the Rinnegan. Naruto let out a hollow chuckle. It's not just another pair of eyes like the Sharingan or Byakugan. Sure, you can access some nifty jutsus with him, but that is not that I'm talking about. They aren't called the eyes of God for no good reason. Bringing back the dead, it's just a parlor trick. With barely a year of experience in using the Rinnegan, I already have enough skill with it to destroy the moon and create another just like it, Naruto said, and everyone's jaw dropped. The human body peaks at around 25 years old, which means I will only get stronger until then, and as I age, so will my skill and control over the Rinnegan. Eventually, there will be nothing stopping me from destroying this universe and simply creating one in my own image, Naruto said, and everyone just stared at him. The Rinnegan offers me absolute control over life, death, time, space, destruction and creation itself. I can already destroy and create many things. In time, dimension hopping will become as easy as breathing. The next step would be perfect control over the yin-yang released itself, allowing me to use every single jutsu in the world, be it bloodline or not. So you see? The Rinnegan isn't just some eye. Naruto finished and everyone was slack-jawed at the explanation. But, you aren't going to, are you? Tsunade asked wearily, seeing Naruto frown his eyebrows in confusion. Destroy the world and create another in your image? Tsunade gulped and everyone stared at Naruto, who held a smirk. Maybe, Naruto replied mysteriously while Tsunade just stared at him blankly. Just joking. But you know the stories of the Rinnegan very well. It is said that in times when the world is in disorder, a person is sent down from the heavens to become either a god of creation who will calm the world, or a destroyer who will reduce everything into nothingness. Naruto finished. Some jewel we got from heaven, now muttered and smirked towards Naruto. Hey, he snapped. I take offense to that. I'm very, Hinata. Naruto stopped mid-sentence when everyone heard Hinata enter the room. I've got some good and bad news, Hinata said, sitting down and placing a small folder with documents on the table. Which ones you want first? She asked. Let's start with the bad ones so that the good news can cheer us up, Naruto said, and Hinata nodded. The bad news is that I couldn't find an exact match on the database, Hinata informed, and Naruto shrugged his shoulders. It was to be expected. And the good news? He asked. I managed to find an exact match on the database, Hinata giggled, and Naruto stared at her blankly. I'm confused, he simply said. I think this Rinnegan is artificial to some degree, Hinata said thoughtfully. What do you mean by artificial? Tobirama asked, leaning into the conversation. Take Naruto-kun for example, Hinata began, pointing towards the blonde. He has a Rinnegan due to the Uchiha and Senju blood. However, he only has one DNA, like everyone else. He has a DNA signature, and on that, we can trace several Uchiha and Senju markers, Hinata explained, and everyone nodded in acknowledgement. This Rinnegan, however, has two different strands of DNA, Hinata said, and Tsunade's eyes widened. It would seem someone mixed Uchiha and Senju blood together and hoped for the best. The good news is that I don't think this Rinnegan is fully functional, since both bloodlines aren't properly merged like Naruto's. In this Rinnegan, both bloodlines are always fighting each other for dominance. Hinata finished and waited for everyone to process the information. And how does it not being fully functional translate into its abilities? Naruto asked. He needed to know that information desperately. I can only speculate about that, Naruto-kun. But if I had to guess, since both yin and yang energies aren't properly balanced, he might be able to access the 6 paths, maybe a few limbo techniques, but I don't think yin-yang release would be possible, Hinata finished, and Naruto released a sigh of relief he didn't know he was holding. I'll sleep better tonight knowing this Rinnegan is weaker, but what about the other one out there, the one who summoned the Ghetto Mazo? Hashirama asked. We don't know who is out there. The only thing we can do is wait for that someone to make his move. The good news is that he or she only possessed the empty husk, since I had already extracted the Baijuo. But, if they knew that the statue had Baijuo inside, then they will know that someone else has a Rinnegan as well, Naruto explained. It's like a game of cat and mouse, Tobirama sighed while Hashirama patted his back. Enough about the artificial Rinnegan. What are the DNA results? Tsunade asked with curiosity. Like I said, I managed to isolate 2 different strands of DNA. I found a perfect match to the Senju DNA, Hinata said, pushing the report towards Tsunade, who swiftly picked it up. 100% match to Senju, Hashirama, Tsunade said, and everyone's head snapped towards Hashirama. What? He snapped. Are you telling me that there is a piece of me in there? Hashirama shouted, pointing to the floating eyeballs in the flask. Unfortunately, getting someone else's DNA is fairly easy. You only need a piece of hair, A little blood. A simple spar would suffice. Tsunade sighed and closed the report and picked up the other one. She quickly read though the details in her head snapped towards Minato. What? Minato asked confused, seeing Tsunade's gaze on him. Uchiha DNA, 25% match to Minato, Tsunade said. And 25% means? Minato asked, gulping under all the attention he was receiving. Grandfathers, grandmothers, aunts, uncles, half-siblings, double first cousins, Hinata informed. Give me the isolated Uchiha DNA, Naruto said, and Hinata threw him a vial. On my otan. Bankusoso, Naruto said, and the glass vial started floating on his hand. The glass instantly shattered, leaving behind only the genetic material. Everyone watched with enrapt attention as Naruto created a body from a small sample of DNA. As the body started forming and growing, anyone could clearly see he was male, with long black hair, with a slight tinge of blue. His bangs parted down the center of his face to frame both sides of it. Shit, Tobirama said, jumping to his feet instinctively. He looks familiar now, muttered. Who is that? Tsunade asked towards Tobirama and Hashirama. Judging from their expressions, they knew very well who laid on the ground, breathing evenly. Groan. The person on the ground groaned just before opening his eyes, and almost immediately, a familiar red color swarmed his eyes. Uchiha, Izuna. Where am I? Izuna wondered. He remembered dying. Correction, he remembered he was going to die. He knew that once he fell asleep he wouldn't awake again. And yet, he felt awake. He could hear a multitude of people around him. Talking. Rather loudly, he might add. Shit, Izuna heard a shout and he felt he knew that voice. He was familiar with another one. His body felt weird. It was like every sense was different from what he remembered, but in a good way. He no longer had that constant little pain in his hands from the multiple fractures he had during his life. Who is that? A female voice this time. Unknown to him as well. Izuna thought he had observed long enough and decided to open his eyes. He involuntarily let out a groan as he tried to at least sit up. He opened his eyes, squinting at the brightness of the room. His eyes hurt slightly, as if they had never experienced light at all. Due to the pain in his eyes, he instinctively activated his Sharingan. Izuna opened his blood-red eyes and the first thing he saw was a lot of people in front of him. He quickly skimmed over the faces, all of them strangers to him. Until his eyes latched on a very specific person who had white, spiky hair and 3 red markings on his face. Ba, Tobirama said, curling his lips in distaste. Tobirama, Izuna shouted, startling everybody and jumping to his feet. His right hand instinctively went to a single tiger hand seal. Kaden, Gar, Izuna gurgled, beginning a fire technique only for Naruto to blitz towards him. Naruto grabbed Izuna by the neck and slammed him on the ground. Traitor, Izuna roared, looking at the blazing Sharingan eyes of the man restraining him. Let me go or you will die, screaming alongside him. Naruto, however, simply disregarded his shouts and unleashed a small pulse of lighting chakra, enough to disrupt Izuna's own network. Nisan, Izuna croaked in thought, blacking out. His last images were that of a man with a Sharingan that strongly resembled his older brother. What is wrong with you? Tobirama snapped at Naruto. You just don't bring an Uchiha back to life like that and don't expect reprisals. He only attacked because he saw you, Naruto countered, picking Izuna and wrapping his arms and legs together. I guess you two have a history, Naruto said. You could say that. He was my Madara, Tobirama explained, putting things into perspective. I killed him though, Tobirama said, and everyone's sweat dropped. I have to agree with Tobirama, Naruto-kun. Bringing back a cage-level shinobi without preparing for it was rather reckless, Hinata stated. Naruto just shrugged his shoulders as he finished tying Izuna. Why did you bring him back in the first place? Hashirama asked. Answers, Naruto replied. I want to know what happened to his eyes and how they turned into a Rinnegan. Well, now began. We know that Madara stole his eyes and that's a lie, Izuna snarled, awake once again. Everyone turned towards the tied Uchiha. That is a lie. I was dying so I gave him my eyes voluntarily. He was my brother, we would never harm one another, Izuna said, spatting his answer at the female Uchiha. Well, that answers that, Itachi said thoughtfully. Is that true? Naruto asked and Izuna nodded firmly. Interesting, Naruto muttered, bringing his hand to his chin. Why did you give him the eyes in the first place? We come from the pure bloodline. We don't get blind from using the Mangekyo, Naruto asked. Pure blood? Blind? What are you talking about? Izuna asked, annoyed by such senseless words. Never mind all of that. Why did you give him your eyes? Naruto asked and Izuna raised an eyebrow. And why should I tell you anything? Izuna asked with amusement. I'm all tied up. You didn't even offer refreshments to your cooperating prisoner, Izuna chuckled while Naruto didn't seem too happy. Answer me one question and I shall answer yours in reply, Izuna offered with a grin. Fine, Naruto sighed. Who are you? Izuna asked the blonde. Was the blonde related to his brother? They certainly looked alike aside from the blonde hair and strange whisker marks. Senju Naruto answered, making Izuna narrow his eyes. You have the Sharingan like me. Why are you called Senju? Izuna asked sharply. My father was an Uchiha and my mother a Senju. I had to pick one, Naruto said, shrugging his shoulders. You lie, Izuna said with a harsh tone. The Uchiha and Senju clans have been adversaries since the dawn of time. Neither member of the clans would mingle with each other. Not in these times of war, Izuna finished. Told you, Tobirama said. Bringing someone who died so long ago was Rush died? Izuna wondered softly. I remember dying. How is it I am here? Izuna asked with confusion. I brought you back, Naruto answered truthfully. No one can bring back the dead, Izuna countered. The shinobi world has changed a lot. You have been dead for a long time, great uncle, Naruto said, making Izuna's eyes widen in surprise. Only Madara was left alive. So that means that you are his grandson. Prove it. Izuna challenged. Izuna narrowed his eyes when he noticed Naruto's Sharingan morph into a Mangekyo. Another one, Izuna thought with surprise. He watched the space swirl in front of him. Madara's war fan came out of Naruto's dimension. So it is true after all, Izuna sighed and looked up, spotting another blonde man within the crowed room. Naruto caught Izuna's eyes and smirked. Meet Madara's son and my father, Naruto said, pushing Minato forward. Nice to meet you, Uncle, Minato said awkwardly. You are my brother's son? Izuna asked in disbelief. Minato simply nodded. I don't see it, Izuna stated, making Minato drop his head. It's the hair, dear. Kushina patted Minato's back. Tell me, Izuna began. How long has it been? It's a strange sight for me to see several Senju and Uchiha clan members sitting in the same room so peacefully. Times have changed, Izuna Hashirama said, making Izuna glare at the Senju. The shinobi world is no longer a battlefield like we knew it. Instead of single clans, there are now shinobi villages. Me and Madara brought our clans together and founded the first of many villages. As of now, there are 5 great nations. There is the Hidden Cloud Village in the Lighting Country, ruled by the Raikage. The Hidden Sand Village in the Wind Country, ruled by the Kazekage. The Hidden Mist Village in Water Country, ruled by Mizukage. The Hidden Rock Village in the Earth Country, ruled by the Tsuchikage. I think you may have heard of him. The current Tsuchikage is Oonoki, Hashirama said, and Izuna nodded. He had heard the name of that talented brat before. And finally, the Hidden Leaf Village in the Fire Country, ruled by the 5th Hokage, Senju Tsunade. My daughter, Hashirama said, pointing towards the busty blonde. I seriously doubt Madarani ever agreed to team up with you after everything, Izuna said softly. About the eyes, Naruto trailed off. I suppose you answered enough of my questions, Izuna said thoughtfully. It's simple really. I was dying so I gave them to Madarani, but why give them? We don't get blind from overusing the Mangekyo, Naruto stated, making Izuna's eyes twitch in annoyance. I know we don't get blind, you fool, Izuna scowled. Madara was injured in the battlefield. He was slowly losing his sight, and the more he pushed his Sharingan and Mangekyo, the more he aggravated his condition. We didn't exactly have access to proper health care back then, and I guess you died shortly after giving him your eyes? Naruto wondered and Izuna nodded. So this is Madara's Rinnegan, Naruto said, and Izuna's head snapped to the flask on the table. I wonder how Nagato had them in the first place, Naruto muttered out loud. Rinnegan? Are those Madarani's eyes? Izuna wondered and thought, looking at the 2 floating eyes balls. We have 2 accounted Rinnegan users. You and Madara, Tobirama said, and Izuna's eyes widened in disbelief. He turned to Blonde and looked at him in both confusion and intrigue. Who do you think is out there with another Rinnegan? Tobirama threw the question into the air. How could I have forgotten? Naruto facepalmed while everybody looked at him in confusion. I forgot about Zetsu, Naruto said, remembering the last Akatsuki member. What's so special about Zetsu? From our intel, he was the Reckon member of the group, and that was about it, Hashirama replied, confused. White Zetsu, yes, but the black Zetsu was different. When I talked to all of the Akatsuki, I felt his chakra. It was so similar to my and father's chakra that it was scary, Naruto said, and let the information hand in the air. Do we have Madara's DNA on store? Naruto asked. You are not bringing back Madara, Tobirama snapped towards the blonde. You fool, do you want a war in your hands? Tobirama roared and everyone looked at him with surprise. Tobirama was always a collected individual. Easy, Tobi, Naruto said, hoping to calm his uncle. How about I use the Edo Tensei? That gives me control over him? Naruto offered, making Tobirama glare at him even harder. You're a fool. Madara had one of the most powerful chakras I have ever felt. And while yours is slightly more powerful, I doubt even you would be able to bind him to your will, Tobirama said dryly. Relax, Tobirama, Hinata began. We don't have his genetic material, otherwise the eyes would have found a 50% match towards him, Hinata explained, and Tobirama sighed in relief, slumping to the couch. Thank God for that, Tobirama replied. I thought you liked Madara? Naruto asked, confused. As if Izuna chuckled. I did, Tobirama replied, making Izuna's eyes bulge out. He and Izuna over there were the only Uchihas I respected back then. Then why all the panic? Hinata asked. Because Madara is both stubborn and volatile, not to mention as powerful as Hashirama when he supposedly died. If you get an idea into his head, sheesh, you will never get the end of it, Tobirama said, and everyone's sweat dropped. I have to agree on that, Izuna chimed in. Oh, you are still here, Tobirama stated, making everyone's sweat drop. Of course I'm still here, you bastard, Izuna snarled. What are you going to do with him? Hashirama asked. He didn't expect Naruto to resurrect someone purely for answers. I say we kill him and be done with this, Tobirama said, crossing his arms and looking pointedly at Naruto. Izuna grunted. He would embrace death head on. Besides, being dead wasn't so bad, it was rather peaceful. I suppose, Naruto said, his eyes turning into the Rinnegan as he placed a single hand on Izuna's head. Ningen. Wait, Hinata said, stopping Naruto from removing Izuna's soul. Izuna opened his eyes and looked at the soul Hyuga in the room. This is what I talked about back in Kiri. When you can give life with a mere snap of a finger, you tend to lose the notion of life itself, Hinata explained. Could you be any more cryptic? Hashirama groaned. What I'm trying to say is that all life is important, Hinata began softly. It doesn't matter if it came from Naruto-kun or Kami herself. Every life is important and to be protected, Hinata finished, and Naruto sighed, stepping back. You owe your life to my wife. Be thankful she has a kind heart, Naruto said. Izuna grunted. Please, the Uchiha in him had pride. He would never thank an enemy for sparing his life. That still doesn't resolve his fate, Minato said. Just to be clear, Tsunade began sharply. I don't want a rogue Uchiha running rampart in my village. Naruto hummed, bringing a hand to his chin. Tell me, Izuna. You still don't think that Hashirama and Madara teamed up for the greater good? Naruto asked, and Hinata smiled, knowing where Naruto was taking this. Naruto was giving Izuna something that all Uchihas treasured above all else: family. Come, Naruto said, releasing Izuna from his binds and motioning him to follow him. Let me show you what Madara and Hashirama built together. Naruto smiled, leading Izuna outside of the compound and into the village that his brother had built. Outside of Senju compound, Konoha. Hang on tight, Naruto said, placing a hand on Izuna's shoulder and flashing both of them towards the Hokage mountain. What was that? Izuna groaned, feeling the world dancing around him. It was that blasted technique from Tobirama, Izuna snarled. Relax, Izuna, Naruto said, calming the Uchiha. You are among family. There are no enemies here, Naruto said. Izuna grumbled at being ordered around by some brat but reluctantly followed. This, Naruto said, stepping to the ledge of the Hokage mountain and gazing into the village. Wow, Izuna breathed out, looking at all the light in the village. This is the Hidden Leaf Village, founded by Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara, Naruto said, and Izuna just looked in amazement. During the night, Konoha was truly an amazing sight to behold. Hidden Leaf Village? Izuna asked, confused. Don't blame me or Hashirama for the name. It was Madara that came up with it, Naruto chuckled while Izuna looked at Naruto in disbelief. And he grunted. Naruto smiled and placed a hand on his shoulder. Moving on, Naruto said, and flashed them both to the streets of Konoha. Even at nightfall the village was bustling with activity. How many clans live here? Izuna asked, walking down the streets and looking around. Hyuga, Akimichi, Nara, Yamanaka, Aburame, Senju, Inuzuka, Kurama and several smaller ones, Naruto explained. No Uchiha clan? Izuna asked, confused, and saw Naruto flinch. Yes, Naruto began slowly. The Uchiha clan lived here until a few years ago, Naruto said, hoping to not lose Izuna after this. What happened? Izuna asked, his voice taking a dangerous tone. Greed, Naruto replied, and Izuna stopping walking, looking at him in disbelief. The only Uchihas alive now are me, Itachi, now, my father and you, Naruto said. What happened? Izuna asked sadly. I killed him, Naruto said bluntly, and Izuna's jaw dropped. You did what? Izuna asked coldly. His Sharingan was turned on and glaring at Naruto. The clan leader at the time was a fool with delusions of grandeur. He wanted the world in his pocket. He wanted power, and save for a few people. All of the clan supported him. He even unleashed the Kyuubi in this village, killing thousands of innocents just to try and become Hokage. So I took steps and killed them all, Naruto said without remorse. How could you just kill them like that? Izuna snarled, his fists shaking from anger. They were family. You can hate me all you want, but it was necessary. They wanted to destroy the very thing Hashirama and Madara built. Even Madara left the village shortly after its creation because he got fed up with his clan, Naruto explained, but Izuna showed no intention of calming down. Izuna clenched his fists so hard that the knuckles were becoming white. He looked towards the blonde and lashed out. Naruto saw it coming. He figured Izuna would come at him. Naruto took the punch head on, staggering backwards slightly. Feeling better? Naruto asked, licking the blood from his lips. Izuna scoffed and punched him once more. Go ahead. If it makes you feel better, Naruto said plainly. Izuna went for a third punch but stopped midway and took a step back. I'm good, Izuna said, sighing. Let's go eat something, Naruto said, placing a hand on Izuna's shoulder and leading him away. Izuna looked up and saw his busted lip had already healed. Your lip? How? Izuna asked in disbelief. Let's just say I have an advanced healing factor, Naruto explained. Izuna just looked at him in slight suspicion, but if he could bring back the dead, then a healing factor wasn't that surprising. Izuna ended up shrugging his shoulders and tagging along with Naruto in silence. Here we are, Naruto said, stopping in front of a small restaurant with several stools. A ramen bar. Izuna curled his lips in disgust. Why did it have to be ramen? Gross as stuff, Izuna said, and Naruto's eyes widened. Ramen is food of the gods, Naruto said, feeling like Izuna had just insulted a higher deity. Naruto pushed Izuna inside, who reluctantly sat on one of the stools. 2 bowls of ramen, old man, Naruto called out. Tucci nodded and went to work. A few minutes later, both Naruto and Izuna were served with a steaming bowl of hot ramen. Wait, Naruto yelled, stopping Izuna from dipping into his meal. What now? Izuna groaned, almost childlike. First, you inhale this godly scent, Naruto said as he lowered his head and inhaled the steam rising from the bowl. Then we taste the exotic flavor of the godly soup, Naruto said, taking a small sip from the bowl. Izuna's sweat dropped at his behavior, but Naruto wasn't finished. And finally, you eat the noodles, relinquishing on the softness and flavor they carry. Only when you have finished these important 3 steps you may feast on your meal like a hungry bear. Naruto finished and Izuna was looking at him like he was growing a second head. Tucci was just nodding in acknowledgement. Whatever, Izuna said and picked the bowl, nearly swallowing his meal in an instant. No, Naruto whined, seeing his teachings gone to waste. It wasn't half bad, Izuna said, placing the bowl down. He looked over to see Naruto mopping over his own bowl. Say, Tucci-san, Izuna began, drawing the attention of the ramen chef. Who founded Konoha? Izuna asked. Really? Naruto thought, nearly face-palming. He's asking Tucci of all people. Tucci was taken back from the question. He had been asked a lot of stuff, but this was a first. Tucci stammered, looking over to Naruto, who was eating his ramen like nothing had happened. Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara. Tucci replied, it was basic knowledge after all. Izuna said nothing more and waited for Naruto to finish in silence. Ready to go home? Naruto asked. Your home isn't my home, Izuna said defiantly. It will be. Give it time, Naruto sighed, flashing both Uchihas to the Senju compound. Next day. Morning, Hinata-chan, Naruto said, kissing her head as he sat down at the table for breakfast. He yawned and rubbed his eyes, pushing the lack of sleep away. Last night's tour around the village had taken longer than he anticipated. He's gone, Tobirama shouted as he rushed into the kitchen, slamming the doors open. Who's gone? Hinata asked, munching on some toast. Izuna, Naruto answered, eating his cereal peacefully. You knew? Tobirama seethed. Of course I knew. I'm not naive enough to just drop Izuna into one of the rooms and hope he doesn't kill us in our sleep. Naruto chuckled and looked towards Itachi, who didn't seem to like the joke. I let him leave, Naruto said, and Tobirama sputtered in reply. Why? Tobirama in disbelief. Because we want his loyalty, Hinata began just as Naruto opened his mouth to reply. We want him to choose to live with us by his own free will. He was born in a different time than ours and never got to experience this village system like you and Hashirama. Telling him that Konoha was built by Madara and trapping him here would more harm than good. He needs to choose by himself where he stands in this new world, Hinata explained, and Naruto nodded. You took the words from my mouth. Naruto nodded until a thought crossed his mind. That's rather creepy. How you said exactly what I wanted to say. Maybe I should stop feasting on your brains at night, Hinata said thoughtfully, sticking her tongue out. The brains from which head? Naruto whispered huskily into her ear. That's lame, she groaned in reply while Naruto laughed. You are a pervert. No matter how much you deny it, Kurama muttered from his mind. So you let him go just like that? Tobirama asked, shaking his head disappointment. Naruto and him did agree on a lot of stuff, but Naruto had more trust in other people than him. Did you even tag him with the Hiraishin seal? Tobirama asked, hoping for a yes. No, Naruto replied, and Tobirama hanged his head. He battled you extensively throughout his life. He would recognize that seal in a heartbeat. So you just let him go, just like that? Tobirama asked. Yes, you are too trusting. Let's hope it doesn't come back and bite you in the ass, Tobirama warned and sat down to eat as well. If my ass hurts, you will be the first to know, Naruto replied, making Tobirama look dangerously at him. Few days later. All ready to go? Tsunade asked, looking at both Naruto and Hinata, her chosen bodyguards, to the 5-cage summit that would take place in the Land of Iron in a few hours. Tobirama was also tagging along, but for others' reasons, primarily one Mizukage. Leave the cloak, Naruto, Tsunade warned. I don't want the others Kids thinking you are the new ringleader for the Akatsuki, she said. In a way, I am the new leader, Naruto replied. Do you want to be jumped by the other Kids? Tsunade asked in disbelief. It might be fun fighting 3 or 4 Kids at once, Naruto pondered while Tsunade just looked at him blankly. I never had the chance to go all out. It's like my eyes are itching for relief, Naruto explained, and Tsunade sighed dramatically. Anyways, are you both ready? Naruto asked, placing a hand on her shoulder and the other on Hinata. We are going now. We will see you in a few hours, Naruto said to the rest of the compound as he teleported away, towards Land of Iron with both Tsunade and Hinata. They arrived at their destination in the blink of an eye. It was snowing in the Land of Iron as they walked towards the gates leading inside the small castle where the meeting was to be held. They approached the big, wooden double doors and were greeted by samurais. Welcome, Lady Hokage, Mifune said, bowing in respect. Good to see you as well, General Mifune, Tsunade replied back, bowing as well to the leader of the samurai, Lord Tobirama. It seems the news were true. It's a pleasure to meet you, Mifune said, and Tobirama nodded in reply. Lady Hinata, it's good to see as well, Mifune said, and Hinata nodded. Mifune turned towards the last element, a particular blonde we all know and love. Naruto, Mifune said with a chuckle. Old man, Naruto smirked back. Naruto, Tsunade shouted, grabbing him by the scruff of his hair and forcing him to bow. Show some respect to your betters. It's fine, Lady Tsunade, Mifune replied kindly. We have met almost a year ago during his training trip. And you let him call you old man? Tsunade asked in disbelief. I'm not getting any younger, Mifune laughed heartedly. Besides, we both know that he has respect for us, even if doesn't show it in his words. I guess. Come, Mifune smiled. The others Kids have yet to arrive, Mifune said, leading Tsunade inside. Naruto was about to follow when Hinata tripped. Naruto's lighting reflexes came in handy as he gripped her by the arm and stopped her from hitting the ground. Did you seriously trip? Naruto asked in disbelief. How would a shinobi even trip? Much less a shinobi of Hinata's caliber. I just zoned out for a little, Hinata chuckled weakly, blinking her eyes quickly like they were burning. She felt like she was awakened for days. What's wrong? Naruto asked. The last couple days have been weird. I get these random waves of pain to my forehead. Sometimes the pain just lingers around. Not that painful, just an annoying drone during the day, Hinata said. Why didn't you say anything? Naruto asked softly. I didn't want you to worry, Hinata mumbled, and Naruto smiled. I want to worry. It's my job to take care of you, Naruto said firmly, placing both hands on her shoulders. Let me see, Naruto said, activating his Rinnegan and poking her forehead with 2 fingers. A soft green glow enveloped his fingers and started sinking into her head, spreading around her forehead seal. What is that? Naruto wondered, feeling that something strange was happening to her body. It can't be. Naruto's eyes widened in disbelief and he jumped backwards from surprise. Hinata opened her eyes when she felt Naruto's hand leaving her forehead. What's wrong, Naruto-kun? Hinata asked, worried by his reaction. Naruto only smiled in reply and approached her. Something amazing is coming to his world, Naruto said, resting his forehead on hers. His Rinnegan staring into her Byakugan. What's coming? Hinata asked with hope. Naruto was happy, so it must be something good, right? Yes. Naruto, Hinata, come inside, Tsunade shouted from the entrance, breaking Naruto's explanation. We'll take later, Naruto said, and Hinata nodded, walking next to him. She was happy that these erratic waves of pain was nothing to worry about. Few hours later, meeting. Now that the Mizukage has arrived, we can finally be in this meeting. I am Mifune, General of the Samurai in Iron Country, and it's my pleasure to host the 5-cage meeting. Please introduce yourselves, Mifune said, folding his hands and resting his elbows on the table. Mei Terumi, Godime, Mizukage said, placing her dark blue hat on the table. Yondaime Reikage said, throwing his yellow hat to the table. Baki, Godime Kazekage, Baki answered, placing down his green hat. Aniki, Sundaime Tsuchike, Aniki replied, placing down his brown hat. Senju Tsunade, God, I'm Hokage. Tsunade finished, placing down her hat as well. Good, Mifune said with a smile. Acting as mediator for powerful figures as Kiges when there is so much history between their villages wasn't easy. Now, I believe that Tsuchikage should begin since he was the one that called this meeting in the first place, Mifune explained, gesturing to the old cage. Lord Tsuchikage, when you are ready, Mifune said and leaned backwards as a sign for the Aniki to proceed. Aniki nodded silently and sat somewhat straight. He cleared his throat and simply said one word. Akatsuki, what of it? Mei asked, folding her arms across her chest. As you know, the Akatsuki appeared many years ago, but only in the last 3 they became active. And in only 3 years they have captured nearly all of the Baijiu, Aniki said and let it hang in the air. Your worries are unwarranted, Aniki grunted. I believe you heard the news regarding the Jounin exams I hosted in Kumo? I asked and Aniki nodded. I believe the Hokage could explain better, said, giving a nod towards the blonde Hokage. If you allow it, I'll call Naruto to explain since he was the one on the battlefield, Tsunade asked towards the Kiges and Mifune, who all nodded in agreement. Naruto. Tsunade called and Naruto jumped from the overwatch and stood behind Tsunade. Tsunade gave a small nod and Naruto stepped forward slightly. The Akatsuki is finished. During the Jounin exams they launched a full-scale invasion on Kumo. Of the original 10 members, only 7 were active at the time. Deidara and Sasori attacked the Leaf and nearly captured the Nanabi but were defeated in the end. The remaining 5 members, Tobi, also known as Uchiha Fugaku, Uchiha clan head, Kisame, Konan, Zetsu, and Pain, also known as Nagato, attacked Kumo. I summoned the 10 dragons of the Leaf and swept the floor with them. By the end of the battle only Konan and Zetsu were left alive. I allowed Konan to live and return to the reign to rule it in peace. We didn't need another Hanzo popping out in that poor village. Zetsu's whereabouts are currently unknown. Naruto explained. Yes, the 10 dragons of the Leaf. Konoha sure came out good because of that invasion. Having a few legends resurrected is always nice, Aniki spat, making the Hokage slightly tense. Having an influx of 5 S-rank shinobi to any village was a large boost in power, and wars had been started for less than that. Although, Tobirama seems to be getting a little handsy with the Mizukage, Aniki stated. Mei replied. That was uncalled for, Lord Tsuchikage, Mifune warned while Aniki just grunted in reply. If you called this meeting just for this then you are wasting my time. Aside. The Akatsuki is defeated, true. But, what happened to the Baijiu they caught? Aniki asked, making everyone's eyes widen in sudden enlightenment. So that is the reason of this meeting, Naruto said with a smile. You want to know the fate of the Baijiu? Oh, I already know the fate of the Baijiu, boy, Aniki sneered. I heard the most interesting news about some new pets Konoha had acquired in the last few days, Aniki said, and Kurama snarled inside Naruto's mind at the word pet. It seems we have been lied to, Kiges, Aniki said, addressing Mei, and Baki. It seems Konoha is in possession of 8 Baijiu. The last one is the Hichibi, still in possession of Kumo, Aniki said, and only Baki seemed surprised at the news. Without their single Baijiu, the Ichibi, Suna had been left alone of the Akatsuki troubles. Where are you going with this, Aniki? Mei asked, narrowing her eyes at the aged cage. It's very simple, my dear. Aniki gave a crooked smile. I want my Baijiu back, Aniki said in a firm voice. Naruto sighed and looked back towards Tsunade, who seemed to be pondering the options. A wrong answer and this was definitely war. Gives us a few moments, Tsunade said, beckoning Naruto to stand close to her. Aniki grunted in acknowledgement and everyone waited a few moments for the whispers between Naruto and Tsunade to end. So, have you come to an answer? Aniki asked, getting impatient. This meeting was already 1 hour in. Tsunade nodded and Naruto stepped forward. The answer is, no, Naruto said, and Aniki jumped from his seat. What? He snarled. Both the Gobi and the Bee belong to Iwa. I demand them to be returned to us, Aniki said with a harsh tone. The Baijiu are not yours, old man, Naruto said, making the room gasp. They are mine, and mine only. Tsunade, Aniki started with a dangerous tone. Does this boy speak for you and the Leaf? He asked. Yes, Tsunade replied with a little hesitation. I see, Aniki replied, sitting back down and turning towards Naruto. You are walking a dangerous path, boy, Aniki said, and Naruto just laughed in reply, making everyone look at him in confusion. It seems old age has gotten to you, Naruto said, and Aniki merely sneered in reply. The Baijiu belong to me, not the Leaf. Don't get other ideas in your head. And when the time comes, despite my respect for A and Kumo, I will come for the Hachibi. And in the meantime, if you want a war, then I will give you one, Naruto said in a cold tone. I don't need a village to support me, I don't need a village to stand behind me. I will personally walk through the front gates of Iwa with 8 Baijiu behind me, and lay waste to your village, Naruto said coldly. Tsunade was sitting a bit uncomfortable in her seat. Naruto was coming a bit strong. The other kids just watched the events unfold and witnessed the start of the Fourth Great Shinobi War. Such arrogance. You are just like him, Anaki sneered. At least your father had some decency. I'm not my father, Naruto replied. No, you are not. At least we agree on that, Anaki grunted. Is that your final answer? Anaki asked and Naruto nodded. Let the world know who was responsible for this, Anaki said with a tone of finality, making everyone wonder what the old Kage was up to. The Tsuchikage slowly moved out of his seat, hands behind his back as he calmly strolled to the center of the room. Then, to everyone's surprise, he began to levitate above the ground, standing a few feet from ground level. The old Kage closed his eyes and stood there, floating and seemingly meditating in the middle of the room. Have you gone insane in your old age, Anaki? Aside, Iwa shall never bow to Konoha or its allies, Anaki roared, extending both arms forward, a jutsu leaving his lips with a harsh tone. Jinten, Genkai Hakuri no Jutsu, as the Tsuchikage called his technique. A large transparent cube appeared with a pure white sphere located inside. The sphere suddenly expanded into a cone-shaped structure. Anaki pointed his technique towards Tsunade, Naruto, Mei and Ai. The technique glowed white and enveloped the three Kages alongside Naruto. Then suddenly imploded, destroying everything inside and around. When the dust cleared, all three Kages and Naruto were gone, along with the table and a chunk of the wall. At least, that was what the Tsuchikage intended to do. But he never counted on Naruto being unpredictable as he was. The moment that Tsuchikage extended his arms for his jutsu, Naruto activated his Sharingan. His eyes started swirling as Anaki's jutsu formed into the white sphere. Then, to Naruto's surprise, his own arms moved almost unconsciously. He could see it. He understood how it worked. Time seemed to slow down as he watched Anaki pouring earth chakra and forming the outer, translucent shell of his jutsu. Then, each arm added the next components. His left arm added a small flame of fire chakra, and his right arm added a burst of wind chakra. The wind chakra enveloped the fire chakra, creating a small vortex of fire inside the sphere. As both elements empowered each other, the sphere started glowing almost a pure white. What Naruto didn't know was that he was performing the exactly same steps as he watched Anaki. Then, a mere fraction before it all began, time seemed to resume. Jinchen, both Naruto and Anaki said simultaneously. Genkai Hakuri no Jutsu, both techniques clashed in the middle of the room. The point of impact glowed white, covering the room in a blinding light. Where Anaki had the experience and skill with his technique, Naruto had his powerful chakra and vast reserves to compensate for that. The room rumbled from the power of both techniques. From the point of impact, a small sphere started forming and growing in size, destroying the ground and quickly increasing in size. The Kages and their bodyguards seemed to snap from their shock and all jumped away to safety. Suddenly, just like it began, the jutsu imploded and the piercing light died down. Everyone was staring at Naruto and Anaki. Even they seemed to be in shock, Anaki for seeing Naruto copy his jutsu, and Naruto himself for being able to copy said jutsu. Anaki snarled, being the first to break from the shock. He bent down and jumped towards the levitating Anaki, tackling the old man to the floor. Naruto was shaken from his shock, noticing the entire room about to explode in war. He took a deep breath and sent his golden chains to immobilize everyone in the room, most already running through hand seals. Everyone calm the fuck down, Naruto roared, releasing a wave of chakra that made the room shake slightly. Naruto released his chains, leaving them only around Anaki and his bodyguards, Kurotsuchi and Akatsuchi. Good, Naruto said in his normal voice. He rose a single hand and tried the jutsu once again. He was once again shocked to see a small white spark at the tip of his fingers, forming the perfect sphere he had used. Anaki Mifune said harshly, forgetting all niceties. What is the meaning of this? You dare attack foreign Kages on neutral ground? He asked, his voice taking a deeper tone. It would seem that Iwagakure will go to war over the Baijiu, and not against Konoha alone, Tsunade explained, looking at the chained Kage on the floor. Yes, I drawled. It would seem our alliance agreement got public. What's your take on this, Kazekage-sama? Mei asked towards Baki. You are, after all, allied with Iwagakure, are you not? Mei asked sweetly, making Baki take a step back and gulp in fear. I assure you, Baki tried to reason. I knew nothing of his plans for this meeting. Prove it, Naruto challenged, extending his arm for Baki to take. The Kazekage, however, didn't even hesitate and placed his hand on Naruto's. Ninjendo, Naruto thought, taking particular care to keep his eyes closed. He scanned through his memories and found nothing. He's clear, Naruto said, and Baki released a breath of relief he didn't know he was holding. What are we going to do with you, Anaki? Tsunade sighed, leaning back on what remained of the wooden desk they had been sitting on. Lord Mifune, a single samurai, burst into the room, urgency in his voice. "Iwagakure is marching towards us," the samurai explained, and everyone looked back to Anaki, who had a crooked smile. "How many?" Mifune asked quickly. "A full battalion of approximately 1,000 men crossed our borders and are taking position around the castle's main entrance as we speak," the samurai explained. "We have closed the gates and barricaded the entrance." "It would seem Anaki wasn't as insane as we thought," Naruto said. "This meeting wasn't about the Akatsuki or the Baijuo. They were just an excuse for him to try and get rid of the Konoha-Kirikuma alliance. If no one survived, there would be no reports of what happened here and a small lie would be sufficient," Naruto explained. "You pretty sharp," Anaki commended the boy. "But, not even all of you can stand against 1,000 shinobi, all around Jounin level," Anaki said, pleased with the strength of his forces. "Do not worry, this castle was created to withstand heavy siege," Mifune explained. "That won't work against Iwa shinobi," Tsunade sighed. "They are highly skilled in earth ninjutsu and will bring down these walls in minutes." "Then I suggest we man the walls," Mifune offered, and everyone nodded. "And him?" I asked, nodding towards Anaki and his bodyguards. "I'll bring him along, so he can see what his decisions brought," Naruto said, and everyone left the room. With Iwa's battalion #. "Get ready, men," Kichi shouted to the shinobi standing behind him. "Are you sure about this?" Ren asked with doubt. "We are going to attack the Kijis," she muttered. "Are you loyal to Iwa or that Naruto fellow?" Taisuke asked with a sneer, and Ren stayed silent. "Just stay back," Taisuke sighed. "You are not here to be a frontliner. You are here to sense enemy movement." "Oh okay," Ren said slowly and sat down, crossing her legs and placing her hands in the ram seal. "Begin," Kichi shouted. "Doten, Toryudan, with Kijis ." "This won't hold much," Mei said, frowning at the defenses they had placed. While the gates were metal, their barricade was nothing but a few chunks of wood pressed against the gate. "Take cover," one of the samurai on the walls shouted as thousands of rocks and hardened mud rained upon the castle. Everyone inside hugged the walls for cover as the attack smashed against the walls. At first it did nothing, but over time, the continuous impacts of small rock was beginning to crack the walls. "Should we answer back?" Baki asked, siding with the other Kijis. What Anaki had done was foolish, and the Suna wouldn't stand against 3 allied villages. "Get back," Hinata shouted, beckoning everyone to stay away from walls. Naruto felt the large chakra spike from the invading forces. The whole castle started rumbling as the walls started simply sinking on the ground, inch by inch. The vast and thick wall that separated the inner castle from the outside was simply sinking into the earth, as if being swallowed by a swamp. "Stay here," Naruto said, walking forward. "What are you going to do?" Tsunade asked quickly. "What I do best," Naruto replied, and jumped over the sinking walls. With Iwa's battalion #. "Enemy incoming," Ren shouted to the battalion, forcing everyone to halt their jutsu. The moving earth core technique required a lot of chakra and made the user stationary, and thus vulnerable to an attack. "Men, forward!" Kichi bellowed, and the shinobi charged forward, running towards the enemy. "No, run away!" Ren shouted, but they never heard her. "It's Naruto," she whispered, her voice falling on deaf ears. "Kunai Kage Bunshin no Jutsu," Naruto said, throwing a single kunai into the air. The kunai quickly multiplied into hundreds and started raining down against the Iwa army. "Doten, Doryuki!" the forward shinobi shouted, raising a wall in front of their army and blocking every single kunai. "The bastard thinks we didn't learn anything from the yellow flashback then," one shinobi sneered. What they didn't expect in a million years was for Naruto to simply appear through the wall like a ghost, speeding towards them at fast speeds. He blinked and Naruto was suddenly upon him, delivering a lightning-empowered punch against his gut. His last image was a pair of glowing red eyes with black markings. "Suten, Bakusui Shuha!" Naruto pumped his lungs with chakra and unleashed a gigantic wave over the army. They raised defensive walls, but the water was like a tsunami. Not even the earth nature power over the water nature seemed to stop it. Raiten, Rari-Udan, a blue dragon with piercing yellow eyes, sparkled out of Naruto's hands and dove into the wave. Naruto watches the electrified tsunami washed down and dealt with the frontliners. Kichi snarled, seeing most of the army defeated in the blink of an eye just by a water jutsu. "Doten, Sando no Jutsu!" he roared, slamming both hands on the ground. Naruto stopped walking when he felt the earth rumble beneath him. Around him, 2 enormous rock formations rose from the ground. They started moving towards one another, Naruto still caught in the middle. "Let's try this," Naruto wondered, raising his hands forward. Jinten, Genkai Hakuri no Jutsu! The same white sphere he had used before appeared in his hands. The sphere expanded and completely leveled the ground around him, destroying the towering slabs of earth. "Not possible," Kichi muttered, seeing his strongest attack neutralized with the Tsuchikage's dust style. "Bastard!" he snarled, running towards Naruto. "Doten, Kengan no Jutsu Kichi charged forward, sending his stone-covered fist crashing against the blonde. Naruto simply raised a hand and blocked the strike with an open palm, much to Kichi's shock. "Chidori," Naruto said, unleashing lightning chakra from the same hand he used to defend. The lightning completely destroyed the rock shell and electrocuted Kichi, who fell to his knees, twitching all over. "Be bastard," Kichi said, before blacking out. Naruto stepped over Kichi and continued with his onslaught until he reached the last person on the army. "Ren," Naruto said, but she stayed silent. She looked up but only caught a glimpse of yellow hair before she saw nothing more. It was done. Hash with Kichi's hash. Aniki smiled when he heard his army yell and charge forward. He could feel the ground trembling, this caused by his army running forward. His grin quickly fell out of his face when the scream of charge were replaced with screams of fright. Aniki's eyes widened when he saw his own technique shine in the distance. Then silence. His heart was hammering in his chest as Aniki waited for a sound, anything. The silence was leaving a sinking feeling in his gut. Then he saw it, a glimpse of red hair, approaching the castle through the mist of the dust. Naruto walked inside, his face covered with dirt and his hair stained red. He had so much blood on him that his hair seemed red instead of yellow. "It's done," Naruto simply said. "What have you done?" Aniki yelled in despair, fighting against the restraints. "What was necessary?" Naruto replied with a heavy heart. "This will happen to your village if you continue to pursue your goals. Forget the Baiju. They aren't meant to be used as weapons, and as long as I live, they will never be again," Naruto explained, and Aniki dropped his head. Naruto could see tears running down the man's cheeks. He had just brought 1,000 of his men to die. Clap clap clap. Everyone looked towards the origin of the clapping sound. Their eyes widened in shock, fear and disbelief when they saw Uchiha Madara sitting on one of the rocks, slowly clapping. "Looks like Zetsu wasn't lying about you, Naruto. You do dance rather well," Madara said with amusement. Madara Tsunade said with astonishment. "He's an Edo Tensei," Naruto said, looking at the fracture marks all over his skin. Now Madara began, rising from the stone. "That is no way to greet family. How about giving your old man a hug?" he asked with amusement. Everyone just stood there gaping like a fish. Here stood Uchiha fucking Madara, the man that was supposed to dead, cracking a liner. Naruto stammered, scratching his head in confusion. He didn't know how to handle this. "Why are you here, Madara?" Tsunade snarled. "Easy," Senju Madara replied calmly. "I came to offer all of you a choice. Either give me the Baiju," Madara said, looking pointedly at Naruto. "Or you will have war," Madara warned, his tone getting lower. "The Baiju are mine," Naruto replied. "And not even you will get them. You are the other Rinnegan, aren't you? You are the one that summoned the Geto Mazo," Naruto stated. His initial suspicions had been confirmed. "Guilty as charged," Madara said, raising his arms in defeat. "But I do have to thank you," Madara said, getting a confused look from Naruto. "You gave me my brother back," Madara smirked. "Told you," Tobirama grunted. "And as a gift in return, I came here to offer all of a choice. You either deliver me the Baiju peacefully or I will give you a war." Iwagakure today was only a taste. "It's amazing what the power of suggestion can do, isn't it, Aniki?" Madara asked with amusement. "A suggestion here, a suggestion there, couple that with your already existent hate towards the leaf and here you go, bringing an army to kill your enemies," Madara said, making everyone stare at him in shock. Aniki was just looking blankly at the ground. "Don't feel so bad," Madara appeased. Naruto was rather mild with them. "They are all knocked out, you know? They are all alive," Madara explained, and Aniki's head snapped up, and looked towards Naruto. Naruto noticed Aniki looking at him with pleading eyes, as if asking to confirm what Madara said. "It's true. They are only knocked out. The blood on me was only a simple genjutsu," Naruto confirmed, and Aniki could sigh in relief. "Anyway, he may be mild, but I'm not," Madara smirked and nodded towards the outside of the castle. The night sky was immediately lit ablaze. "No!" Naruto yelled, flashing towards the battlefield. He saw a clone of Madara do a single hand seal and spew an ocean of fire against the unconscious shinobi lying on the ground. Suten. Bakusui Shuha. Naruto did the same jutsu yet again, this time twice as more powerful as before. The gigantic wave swallowed Madara's jutsu, immediately putting out the fire all over and saving the Iwa shinobi from being burned up. He watched the clone of Madara smirk and dispel in smoke. Naruto flashed back to the Kijis and every single one was on the ground in pain, their bodyguards completely out. What happened? Naruto thought. He had only been gone for a minute at the most. Hinata? Naruto wondered, looking around but didn't spot her. "Where's Hinata?" Naruto asked, rushing to Tsunade's side. She looked up and groggily extended her arm. Naruto opened his hands and watched as Tsunade dropped something on it. Naruto looked at the item and it was Hinata's wedding ring. "I'm sorry Naruto. We tried." Tsunade coughed. "No no 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 no," Naruto thought, backing away. Madara couldn't have taken her. Hinata, that's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on my other social media accounts. Anime God here, and I'm signing off.